Hari Hari Ganoinu Hari Hari Jayarata Matavakun. Just give me another mridanga. Bring the blue one. This one's like the strange sound. Okay. So let me check. Jayarata Matova Kunja Bihari Are you guys talking or are you singing? You can't just talk in the temple like that. You're in front of the deities and you have to follow properly. That's okay, but when class is giving them. Jayarata Matava Kunja Bihari Radha Matava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari Yashodnandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodnandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tirtha Vanochari Jamuna Tirtha Vanochari Jayarata Matava Kunja Bihari Hey Radha Matava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari Gopi Jana Balaba Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamuna Tirtha Vanachari Jamuna Tirtha Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hey Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Nandana Vrajajanaranjana Jamuna Tirtha Vanachari Jamuna Tirtha Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hey Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paragraj Jikacharya Shankarasanta Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Go Premanandi All glories these assembled devotees. All glories these assembled devotees. All glories these assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Okay. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayat. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14, chapter entitled The Forest of Enjoyment, text number 6. I don't think we can repeat it because it's more in prose than rhyme. So. Tatra cha kvachid atapodaka nipan vishayan upadavati panabhojana Vyavayadi vyasana lolupaha. We'll just read word for word. Tatra, there. In this phantom place. Cha, also. Kvachit, sometimes. Atapa udakanipan, like the water in a mirage in the desert. Vishayan, the objects of sense enjoyment. Upadavati, runs after. Pana, to drinking. Bhojana, to eating. Vyavaya, to sex life. Adi, and so on. Vyasana, with addiction. Lolupa, a debauchee. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes in this house, in the sky, Gandharvapur, the conditioned soul drinks, eats, and has sex. Being overly attached, he chases after the objects of the senses, just as a deer chases a mirage in the desert. Translation responsively. Sometimes in this house, in the sky, Gandharvapur, the conditioned soul drinks, eats and has sex. Being overly attached, he chases after the objects of the senses, just as a deer chases a mirage in the desert. Purport. There are two worlds, the spiritual and the material. The material world is false like a mirage in the desert. In the desert, animals think that they see water, but actually there is none. Similarly, those who are animalistic try to find peace within the desert of material life. It is repeatedly said in different shastras that there is no pleasure in this material world. Furthermore, even if we agree to live without pleasure, we are not allowed to do so. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that the material world is not only full of miseries, dukkhalayam, but is also temporary, ashashvatam. Even if we want to live here amid miseries, material nature will not allow us to do so. It will oblige us to change bodies and enter another atmosphere full of miserable conditions. The material world ki jai. Cheers. Material world is full of problems. Material world is full of problems, and then you die. It is helpful. When you get old, these things are necessary. When you're young, then you can do anything with that. Omigyan timadandasya kinanjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya manobishtam stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam tadati swa padantikam vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhupi evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare. So who is speaking here? Jad Bharata. Who is he speaking to? Maharaj Rahukana. Yeah. Very, very powerful part of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you want to become detached from this material world, you need to study this part. Hands up if you want to become detached from the material world. Then you have to study it carefully. Actually, I've seen many times, I was mentioning this last night, I've mentioned it many times, that sometimes devotees struggle in devotional service. Hands up if you sometimes struggle. Yeah, everyone struggles to some degree. But I notice sometimes devotees, they come, and the devotees say, can I please have some advice how to lift out of the material world, how to overcome my problems in the material world. But then I see when you start to speak to the devotees and you counsel them and ask them questions, one thing I've always noticed over the years is that if devotees are having problems because they're not reading the books, because if you're reading the books, you will have much less problems. Because what are the books telling you? You just read this chapter. This chapter is a powerful chapter. This is a very powerful chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam. If you read this chapter, what does it tell you? You can't enjoy in the material world. So if you can't enjoy in the material world, why would you put effort and energy into enjoying in the material world? Because when devotees come and say they have problems, what's the problem? They're trying to enjoy, separate from Krishna. Right? Devotees don't come to you and say, I've got problems, because if you're serving Krishna, you don't have problems. So then devotees don't come and say, oh, I'm struggling and I'm going through it. If devotees are serving Krishna, they're blissful. You say to the devotee, how are you? They say, I'm blissful, I'm happy. If you're serving Krishna, you're always blissful and happy. Even though the material world may be having problems on top of you, you may feel like you're in the ocean being smashed by the waves, but still deep down, you feel happy and satisfied because you're serving Krishna. So I notice that devotees who don't read the books, don't make it a regular part. Hearing is also when you listen to lectures. Right? Sometimes I don't read the books, like physically. I might not physically pick up the book so much. I go through periods where it gets very busy. So, I might not just sit down and just read. Sometimes it happens. Not all the time. But sometimes it happens like that. I don't read the book, but then you hear. And now these days, we are extremely benefited because technology has become mystic. It's actually mystical power, but it's done in a demoniac way. Because if you look at Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, right? Beginning of Bhagavad Gita, right? Sanjaya is looking at what is taking place in Kurukshetra. Where is he sitting? Hastinapur. So Hastinapur is Delhi, right? How far from Delhi to Kurukshetra? Yeah, 3-4 hours drive. All right, back then they didn't have cars. So it's like maybe, 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, something. It's a long way, quite a distance. But he was sitting there, he went into meditation, he could see what was taking place. So we can do that also these days. You can watch live footage of Mayapur. Like I can, on my phone right now, I can just go, press a few buttons, Mayapur, same potency. But this is the Asuric way, and that is the Sattvic way to do it. That is through divine power, but it's the same thing, basically. We could sit there and watch Kurukshetra now. If there was a battle, we could sit there and watch, Arjuna's sit there with some popcorn and, This is the same potency. So we are very fortunate now because of this mystic potency, you can listen to lectures anytime. So even if I don't read, but every day I'm listening, hearing. I drive in the car. I drove from the farm to here last night, 1.5 hours. So just listening, different lectures, not lectures, but Prabhupada disciples speaking memories about Prabhupada. I'm learning so much, right? After many years of following Prabhupada and following his teachings, but I'm learning so much. Things I'd never heard before. The other day I heard very striking things. that Prabhupada said. Getting to know him so much more. So this is because of the mystic potency. So the point is Shravanam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Every day you have to hear Bhagavatam. Whether you read it or hear it, you should do both actually, but at least do one, if not both. So you have to hear. And then you don't have so many problems. That's what this chapter is for. What is this chapter? If you read this chapter properly, right, what will happen in your heart? Right? If you read this chapter properly, what will happen in your heart? You become detached. Right? Otherwise you are mudha. If you read this, how can you remain attached to this world? This world is meant to give you problems. Right? Material world a key. Jai ho. Right? Right? How does this verse start? Sometimes in this house in the sky, Gandharvapur. So the house is in the sky. When was the last time you saw a house in the sky? Yeah, you're on Harinam and you look up and there's like, just, this house is just floating. Oh, that's a nice. Is that just floating past you? It doesn't happen. Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he says, the material world is like flowers growing in the sky. When did you see flowers growing in the sky? Right, you go and watch a movie like Avatar. Like if you watch Avatar, one of the biggest movies of all time, right? You see, like there's flowers and things floating in the sky. Yeah, where is that? It's maybe some other planet. It's not this planet. You're not going to see like flowers as like floating in the sky. You're not going to see a house floating in the sky. So in other words, it's a figment of the imagination. In other words, thinking you can be happy in this world is a figment of the imagination. It doesn't exist. It's an idea, it's a concept. Abhiman. Radharani's so-called husband, what is his name? Abhimanyu. Abhiman means mental conception, means he's not actually there. He's an incarnation of Krishna's shadow. He's not there. Shadow is not real. Right? Shadow is just something which is there. It's not real. Right? Abhimanyu is just an abhiman. So to enjoy in this material world is abhiman. It's just something in your mind. It's not actually there. Right? Young boy sees young girl, or young girl sees young boy. Oh, I can enjoy it. No, you can't. You think you can. That's why you get married. Right? And then it becomes disaster. Right? Material world a key. Yeah. Grihastha life a key. On the weekend, Prabhu, he gave one seminar. What is his name on the board? Prem Nidhi Prabhu. Did you do the seminar? Yeah. Was it good? Was it? Prema, I'm asking, is it? Okay. It was okay. Yeah. Okay, it was okay. Okay. So, why did he give the seminar? To save people's marriages. If you learn some techniques, you can save yourself a lot of problem. Otherwise, if you try to enjoy, you can't enjoy in this material world. Bhakti Tirtha Swami, he said, marriage is a love triangle. Right? There has to be a third person involved. Right? That's how marriage is successful. If the third person's not involved, it doesn't work. Right? There has to be husband, wife, Krishna. Krishna means also guru and sadhus and Vaishnavas. Love triangle, because it's just man and woman. Prabhupada says man is good, woman is good, together they are bad. Prabhupada says. Right? Man is good, woman is good, put them together. Big problem in Little China. You'll have problem, right? So then you have to have triangle. Because you just try to have the two of you, you'll drive each other crazy, insane. So therefore you have Krishna there. Right? You keep referring back to him, because if you have him in the relationship, it can run okay. Otherwise it's an abhiman to think you can enjoy in this material world. When I was a brahmachari, I was up in, if you go upstairs in Prabhupada's house, the double room. What do we call the double room? Double room. Yeah. Has it got a colour or something? Or sometimes you say blue room, green room. We just call it double room, right? Okay, so anyway, I'm up there in the double room. So I was with my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami. He was sannyasi, I'm brahmachari. Right? So we're there in the room together, just him and me. And there were some grihastas out on the landing talking. And these were quite advanced devotees, actually. They weren't like neophyte, they were quite advanced grihastas. But they were talking about, like, you know, things to do with material world. You know, sannyasi means detached. And he looked at me and he said, there is no pleasure in this world. He said, because he was listening to the conversation, he said, there is no pleasure in grihasta life, married life. He said, there is no pleasure. He said, it is a waste of energy. He said that to me. He said, there is no pleasure, it is a waste of energy. Because that's the reality. That's the reality. And then, you know, even being his disciple, hearing that instruction, but then he told me to get married. Right? He said, go and jump in. You know, burn yourself sufficiently and then come back. That's the nature of the material world. Right? Because some of us need to get it out of our system. Right? That's why Krishna says, Chatu Vanyam Maya Shushtam. I give you 4 options. Right? Because not everyone can do just the one option or the 2 options. You know, brahmachari straight to sannyas. That's a rare soul, actually, particularly in Kali Yuga. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, in Kali Yuga, Grihastha Ashram is a good position for a Vaishnava. But you've got to make sure it's a love triangle. Right? Grihastha Ashram is good. Like, I'm Grihastha. I'm making advancement. You know, it's relatively peaceful. Relatively. Peaceful. Relatively. Right? So it's relatively peaceful. You know, you can make good advancement. There's no problem. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, it is a good position, but it must be love triangle. And I know myself in my own marriage, when it's triangle, right? Okay, no problem, peaceful. But when it's just man is good, woman is good, together they're bad, and then if it's just the 2 of you, then problem. Because it just becomes a clash of ego. And then when it's just a clash of ego, then good luck. You're just dealing with the material energy. So it says here, sometimes in this house in the sky, the Gandharvapur, it's just an illusion. Material happiness is an illusion. Right? If you go further into the purport, Prabhupada quotes Krishna. When you come to the material world, how do you get here? What's the route or the road? Right? Say we started off in Goloka. Right? If we're in Goloka Vrindavan, how do we get here? You came through Vaikuntha, right? And then when you go through it, you go through the Brahma Jyoti, or the Paravyoma, or the river Viraja, right? So you cause the logic, you cross across, right? And then you hit the elements, right? The 8 Mahabhutas, right? It begins with Ahankar, right? Then intelligence, then mind. That's the route in, right? And then you go through ether, and then air, and then fire, and then water, and then earth, and then by the time you've passed through it all, you have this material body, right? And you have the mind, you have all the subtle body, so the whole package covers you, and you enter in, right? But as you come in, there's a signpost. Do you remember the signpost? Do you remember? Well, we all forgot. But there was a big sign on the way in. It said, Dukalayam Ashashwatam. Welcome. Have a nice day. Enjoy. And there's a little Coca-Cola sign saying, enjoy. Right? What's Coke's motto? Enjoy. But they didn't give you the rest of it. Right? The first part is Dukalayam Ashashwatam. Right? Dukalayam, it will give you suffering. Ashashwatam, it is temporary, but enjoy it. That's the mentality in the material world. Because Coke, if you drink Coke, do some YouTube search on Coke. You don't have to, but I'm just saying. If you do, get Coke, right? You put your tooth in, when your tooth falls out, put it in a glass of Coke. It might not be there in the morning. Coke is actually acid. Coke is good for cleaning grease off your garage floor. So if it cleans grease off your garage floor or unblocks drains, imagine what it's doing inside there. Imagine. You drink Coke, yeah, enjoy. What's going on? No? Dukkalayam. Dukkha means suffering. Right? Coke is suffering. Drink, suffering. Ashashvatam means temporary. Means your digestion, which is good, becomes problem. Temporary. This is the nature of the material world. So as we came into the material world, Krishna put up a big signpost. Dukkalayam ashashvatam, have a good time. Right? It is suffering, it is temporary, but enjoy yourself, no problem. So that's the material world. So it's Gandharvapura. It's just a figment of your imagination. It is not real. You cannot enjoy here in this material world. My Guru Maharaj said it's a waste of energy. He said there is no happiness there. Right? So then if we go through, or even if we continue with the verse, the conditioned soul drinks, eats, and has sex. Prabhupada once said, the conditioned soul came to the material world for two reasons: to enjoy illicit sex and to eat meat. That's why everyone comes here. Right? I was in a group near our farm. They had like a tourism group which they formed to promote tourism. So they asked us to be a part of it because we're in that area. So I went to some of the meetings. So, they're all sitting there and they're all, their own accommodation and wineries and cafes. They want to promote more people coming in. So it's beneficial for us. More people come, they go into Hare Krishna belly, they learn so. But they, I was sitting with them and they basically said, we just want people to come here, right, just so they can drink and eat meat. That's more or less what they said. Because we have really good meat here and we have really good alcohol here. Right? So it's basically what everyone does in this material world. That's why people came to this material world. People didn't come here to learn about Krishna. So, sometimes we get a little depressed or a little frustrated or, why aren't more people joining the movement? People didn't come to the material world to join the Hare Krishna movement. If you wanted to join the Hare Krishna movement, you would have stopped at the sign on the way in, Dukkalayam Ashashvatam, do a U-turn, they would have gone back to Goloka. Right? They didn't come here, they came here to forget Krishna. And what is our job? Now we have to wake them up. Lord Chaitanya says, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Lord Chaitanya says, Jeev Jago, wake up, wake up. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? We are just sleeping on the lap, very comfortably. Don't disturb me, I'm happy. We know the famous story. Indra fell down, became the pig. Offended Brihaspati, okay, become a pig. Right? And then Brahma came down. Hare Baba, what are you doing? Come back. Right? And then what happened? Indra said, no, it's okay. It's okay. I've got my wife, my fat wife. Right? I'm happy with my fat wife. Right? I'm happy with my 3 kids, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Right? My fat little kids. I'm happy. I'm eating stool. Hey, leave me alone. Don't touch me. Brahma said, come on, what are you doing? Look at this. This is tomorrow. Give him darshan of tomorrow. Right? Then the farmer comes in with a knife. And he said, oh, okay. I'll come back, I'll be Indra again. This is the nature of the material world. We came here to forget Krishna. Maya is expert at making you forget Krishna. She can make you forget Krishna like that. She does it to me every day. Maya can bewilder us like that. She is so powerful. I'll just make you forget Krishna. She can do that. She can take any of us away from devotional service. Right? Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and Radha Krishna are being merciful upon us. Jagannath and Balarama, Subhadra and Giriraj and Sringadev. They're being they're not letting Maya do like the full potency. Because she can take any of us anytime. She could take me like that if she wanted to. Right? She's much more powerful. Prabhupada once said, if I have one criticism of my disciples, they do not fear Maya enough. Right? We have to fear. And you know the story. Prabhupada was praying. They said, Prabhupada, what are you praying for? He said, I'm praying that I do not fall down from Maya. And they said, Prabhupada, but you just said in the class you cannot fall down. He said, yes, because I'm always praying. do not let me fall down. Krishna, protect me. So we have to pray like that. We have to get serious. Because I know for myself, it's only by mercy, kripa, that I'm able to practice devotional service. Otherwise, Maya could easily take me away. She's too powerful. So it says here, being overly attached, people chase the objects of the senses just as a deer chases a mirage in the desert. That's the nature of the material world. Actually, it's interesting. Gurujan Prabhu said in a class many years ago, but it struck me. The conditioned soul actually becomes attached to suffering. People enjoy suffering. They actually become attached. They go back to it. That is called pramata. Just like, Prabhupada was in Sydney. He was driving down the road. There's that suburb in Sydney called Parramatta. Prabhupada looked up at the sign and said, "What is that?" I said, "Parramatta, Prabhupada." Prabhupada said, "Pramata." Insanity. And if you go there, it's like that. Parramatta's like that. That western side of Sydney, it's quite crazy place. So, Prabhupada said, "Pramata." This is madness, right? Like when you're chasing a mirage in the desert, you're mad. There's nothing there, but you just keep running. Oh, no. When I get there, I'll be happy. When I get there, I'll be happy. And we keep going back to suffering in this material world. Even though we're suffering, we keep going back to it. Oh, we can work it out. We can be happy. The Beatles told us, we can work it out. We can work it out. Right? This is like the motto of the material world. We can work it out. We just haven't done it properly yet. We can be happy. Okay? Now they're telling us, who's the richest man in the world now? No, Elon Musk. Elon Musk became the richest man last year. Late last year, early this year. He overtook everyone, Bill Gates, everyone. Elon Musk. Yeah, Jeff Bezos was, but then Elon Musk surpassed him. So Elon, he has some good sentiments, and one of his sentiments is the world is overpopulated, so we've got to get to Mars so we can repopulate. He says that. He's built his own rocket ships and everything, like it's all happening. So we'll see what happens, but what's the mentality? Okay, it's not working here, but we can work it out. Don't worry, we'll work it out. That's everyone's motto in the material. Oh, we're not happy here? We'll just go to Mars and then we'll all be happy. Do you think it's going to be better on Mars? Right? They're going to have to build like big, domes. And we all live inside. Who wants to live inside a dome? Who wants to live inside a dome? You can run around the dome. Like when COVID happened last year. What year is it? That's when it started. So 220 is when they locked everything down. Yeah. What year is it now? 21, yeah. So last year, when everything locked down, I met one devotee. Nanda brought him to that retreat at the farm a few months ago. One of those boys. So when everything locked down, he was in India, in I think Varanasi. I think he was there. And they said to everyone, he was in an ashram, and they said, we're going to lock the ashram, quite a big ashram, a few acres. We're going to lock it. So make your decision now. Are you staying? Because if you stay, you'll be here for months, or you go out and you do what you want. So he said, okay, I'll stay, because obviously he couldn't get back to Australia quickly. So he stayed. So he told me he was locked in the ashram, a few acres, just big wall. And he said he would do laps on the roof, you just run up and down for exercise. So imagine that, just run, okay, turn around, run back, okay, turn around, run back, okay, turn around, run back. It's not very pleasant, but that's what people think. Oh, if that's not working, we'll do that, but you can't enjoy in the material world. That's what the Bhagavatam is teaching us. Only foolish people think they can enjoy here. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, we try to find peace within the desert of material life. Prabhupada would say this. He was quoting, I think it was Prabodhananda Saraswati once again. Family, friends, and society. Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur says. We think we can get happiness with family, with friends, and with society. So how is that going for everyone so far? What's your family like? I mean, if your family are devotees and they're fixed, okay, it's probably different. And even that, I would suggest is probably not perfect, unless you've worked out a way to make it really good, which means you have to be very Krishna conscious. But generally, people take shelter of family, but most devotees I know, their families are disasters. Not their devotional family, but outside. There's so many problems and pressures. And then friendship. It's hard to get real friends in this material world. Right? It's hard to get a real friend. Right? Someone you can really rely on. I was speaking to someone yesterday actually, and he said, I can only trust in this planet that many people. No more than that. And I said to him, yeah, it's like that. But actually, it's not like that for me. I've got so many people I can trust, right? And they're devotees, right? I've got people I can trust, right? Many I can trust, right? And it's rare in this material world to find people you can actually trust, right? Because the non-devotees, they will always turn on each other. Prabhupada said actually they have no good qualities. No good qualities. He said to Indrajumna Swami, he said, no, the non-devotees have no good qualities. Indrajumna Swami was looking, he's a very young devotee. He just looked at Prabhupada, stunned. And Prabhupada said, do you understand? And he just looked at Prabhupada, stunned. Prabhupada said again, do you understand? What does it mean the non-devotees have no good qualities? It means, of course, non-devotees have good qualities. They're not all just bad demons. But if you stay only on the material platform, your good qualities eventually they will disappear by association, and then you'll develop negative qualities. But for a devotee, the good qualities can increase and increase and increase. You can become more purified, actually. So unless you're connected to the bhakti shakti, to the daivi prakriti, the internal potency, then you will have problems. So real friends are only devotees. Devotees are your real friends. They're actually your family. They're actually your society, your social network. Right? Otherwise, the non-devotees, they just cause problems. TK? Non-devotee, problem. Big problem. I tell you, big problem. So, Prabhupada says, it is repeatedly said in different shastras that there is no pleasure in this material world. That's why we have to read. That's why we have to hear every day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, that's the program. Because you have to hear all the time. You can't enjoy here. Otherwise you hear it. It actually says people become detached in 3 places. Where are the 3 places you become detached? The crematorium, right? So if someone you know or you love is on fire, right? Just like now in India, big problem. They can't even keep up with the cremations, right? That's when you become detached. When someone's at the funeral, everyone becomes detached. They become reflective. And you hear everyone starting to talk reflectively. We talk like this every day, but when they get to the funeral, everyone starts, life is actually temporary. Yeah, okay. Oh, we should, whenever you go to a funeral, I see my family members. My grandmother passed away or something, and then I go, family members you haven't seen for a number of years. And they're, life is so temporary. We have to spend more time together. And I'm always like, yeah, no problem, yeah. But nothing happens. Everyone leaves the funeral. 1 week later, they forget everything, and I'll come and visit you. I haven't seen them for 10 years. They always say it because everyone becomes reflective at the crematorium. What's the other place you become detached? Yeah, the hospital. Right? You go into the hospital, people become detached. Right? It's horrible. People are suffering so much. Right? There's so much suffering. So you become detached when you're in the hospital, or you're in the old person's home. I went to see my grandmother 15 years ago in the old person's home. I remember walking out just feeling detachment. These people are suffering, just horrible suffering. The material body, just when it gets old, it can if you don't look after it, then when you get older, you can really cause a lot of suffering. So you become detached in the hospital, at the funeral, and in the Bhagavatam class. There's the other place you become detached. We're all detached right now, aren't we? But when we walk out, what will happen with the rest of the day? You go on Harinam, and then you're chanting down the street, but you look up and there's a big billboard, and then Maya hits your consciousness. Even in the Harinam, it can happen. You can become affected. And material energy is very powerful. You have to take shelter of the Devi Prakriti. That's a process, actually. That's a process. Because at the moment, we're in two Prakritis. We're in Mahamaya and the internal potency simultaneously. Part of us is in the internal potency. We're attracted to Krishna, but there's another part of us that's still very attracted to the other side as well. So it takes time to become purified and to become fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So then, Prabhupada says, as we go further into the purport, the material world will oblige us to change bodies and enter another atmosphere full of miserable conditions. So people think like that. If I go to a different planet, I'll be happy. If I go to a different country, I'll be happy. If I go to a different temple, I'll be happy. Prabhupada said, there's a Bengali saying, even if you go to Swaga, Swaga means heavenly planet. It's nice there. It's nice there. It's just that the weather's good all the time. The fruits never go off. You don't get like bad bananas or... Swaga's good. Like, it's first class. Right? But it says, there's one Bengali saying, even if you go to Swaga, your forehead gets there before you. Right? So your forehead, whenever you walk into a room, it gets there before you. Right? In other words, your karma is already there when you get there. Even you go to Swaga, it's not perfect. Sometimes the demons attack. Everyone's just, Swaga's just relaxed. You do some jagyas in the morning. They're all devotees. Everyone wears tilak and they do jagyas in the morning. Everything's nice. But then the rest of the day you can just cruise. There's not much going on. It's just, what's for lunch? Do you want to go for a swim? It's like being on holiday perpetually. But then, imagine you're there, and then next minute you just see this dark cloud coming. Right? And the Asuras have decided to rally into attack. Right? And then it's, so even there it's not perfect. That's the nature of the material world. No? So we have to become serious. There's only one answer to everything. Prabhupada says, go back home, back to Godhead. That's it. If you get there, then the problems are solved. Otherwise, everything here, there will be problems. TK? Acha. Okay. Any questions or comments about the material world? Aki? Jai. Any questions, comments? Anyone? Anyone in Cyberland? Yes, Prabhuji.
Trying to make money out of dead bodies, even while cremation. We've had a lot of devotees have difficulties while trying to cremate their parents. So, sometimes they charge and they don't even let them in, so they cheat. So people are, why people in a holy land have become like this, and what's the cause? Or because people here, they might be meat eaters, but I see people here are good. They're honest, at least, to a certain extent.
Still on, okay. The question is very good. Everyone heard the question. Sorry, what I was going to say I forgot. So I'm just trying to find it in the data, what are they called, database or the memory bank, or what are they called? In the cloud, yeah. In the cloud. Yeah, I had what I was going to say. For some reason, Krishna has lifted it out. I'll just try to re-find it again. that Chanakya says, okay, now I remember what I was going to say. One thing when Chanakya says is that poverty breeds all bad qualities. Okay? So this is one important thing, because in India, there is severe mismanagement. And like you said, in the West, even like the meat eaters and all this thing, but people, it's more trust in the West. I'm generalizing, but especially down at the farm, we deal with a lot of country people. Generally, they're very nice to deal with. People don't try to rip you off. No, I mean, a little bit, but not, it's not. But in India, you're just on guard all the time. Everyone's trying to rip you off constantly. So a lot of that's because of poverty. Why is the poverty there? Because the leadership is useless. Right? Was there poverty in Yudhishthira's rule? You got people like Yudhishthira, that kind of caliber. You need someone like that to rule India. Because India's a special place. So you really need that powerful. Modi's doing something. But then if you look around the back, there's some other stuff there that's not very good either. So there should not be poverty. That can be abolished by a good leader. Right? So then people don't have to get into this mood of like, everyone's ripping everyone off, and it just creates like negative qualities. So that's one thing. The other point is that my Guru Maharaj, he said this many years ago. Actually, Prabhupada said, India is the home of Dharma. Right? There's no spiritually more progressed place on the planet. I think everyone will agree with that. Even most people around the planet will agree. It's the most spiritually evolved place. But if you're living there and you're neglecting Krishna's teachings, you're not. Everyone says, Gita, Ma, Gita, I will tell you Gita, nah. I've been on trains in India many times, and people are, Gita, and they say, in the Gita, and when they say it, I say, where does Krishna say that? Seriously. Like sometimes he doesn't even say it, or they just take one line, do your duty. Yeah, he says do your duty, but before he says that, he said, but give the results to me. Right? So it's okay, they want to quote one little part or like that. So if you're in the home of Dharma, but you're neglecting Dharma, then the reactions become worse. Like, the Western people, at least they don't know. So, the karma's coming, but then you're in the place of Dharma, you're rejecting, not even following the teachings, then the reactions are much more severe. So this is also causing the population to suffer more, because India suffers more in general. I mean, life there's not. If you want to go, you only go there for spirituality, for tapasya actually. It's the land of tapasya. It's not the land of enjoyment. Nothing works. I was there in 1999 at Chowpatty. I was speaking to Radha Krishna Prabhu. He was the temple president at the time, one of the temple presidents. So I was speaking to Prabhu, and it was 1 month, I think, before Y2K. Before. So the whole world's a little worried, Y2K. I said, Prabhu, what will you do? Y2K is coming. If there's a problem, what will you do? He said, India's Y2K every day. So what's going to change? Everything's going to fall apart. India's already, it's chaos. Right? So nothing's going to change. So it doesn't have to be like that. If they follow Krishna's teachings and if they follow Dharma, if they live more simply as they're supposed to, practice tapasya as they're supposed to, serve Krishna as they're supposed to, the place will run very efficiently. Srila Prabhupada said India will always be 50 years behind the West. Why? Because it's not meant for that. It's not meant for material. It doesn't work. Materially, it doesn't work. Right? If you want good thing, you go to America or Australia or something, everything just flows but India doesn't work like that. China works like that. China's over. It's like, Radhacharan Prabhu lives there normally. He told me it's like, trains bang on time. 300 kilometre an hour trains. They're there. And then they're gone. Like they're on time. Like the minute they're coming. India's like, you're sitting there for one time I got there, we were going to Puri from Calcutta. We got to Howrah, and I had a group of devotees, 10 devotees, So we got there, and then we were going to get on the train, and they said, oh no, this train has been cancelled. And I said, what are you talking? They said, it is the same, it is the train which is going to Puri, but it is a different train, so it is not your train. So it is on the same platform, it's going to the same place, but you can't get on it because it's not your train, we've changed the train. So I'm just like looking at the guy. So obviously it was going to come down to like, you know. So he goes, go and speak to the head office. So I went up to the head office, I explained the situation. They said, no, you can't get on that train. You know, same thing, it was obviously going to be. So I walked back down, the conductor's standing there, like, you know, very, you know. I just walked past him. I just said, everyone on the train now, the whole group. So we all just got on the train, we sat. He came in, you cannot sit here. I said, we're not getting off. Right? So then the train starts moving, and then he comes up, he goes, okay, show me your tickets. Show him the tickets. We just went to sleep when we got there. It's like, what is that? Yeah, you won't get that at Flinders Street or, you know, yet. I mean, it will happen in the future. You know, Australia will become like that in the future, but you know, after, I don't know, when Kali Yuga progresses. So yeah, it's the age of Kali. You know, if you neglect Dharma, then things become chaotic. So, you like to add something? Or? No. Yeah, we're seeing Kali Yuga. What we're seeing is the aggregate reaction. I watched a documentary about a month ago called Seaspiracy. Have you heard of it? Okay, so you could consider watching it because it really shows. And there's another one called Cowspiracy. Have you seen that one? Yeah, okay, so these two, Seaspiracy, Cowspiracy. When you watch it, you understand what's actually going on in Kali Yuga and how quickly Kali Yuga is going to escalate. And Prabhupada was 100% right. Even yesterday I was listening to Prabhupada, he said, cows, because you kill the cows, right? That's what's the whole thing. And now what's going on in the ocean, they're killing the fish at a rate where if they keep eating the amount of fish they're eating, by 2048 the oceans are empty. And when the oceans are empty of fish, the more empty they become, the fish keep the whole balance of the ecosystem. And global warming, the carbon, is mainly regulated by the ocean. So if the ocean becomes imbalanced, which it is, it throws the whole ecosystem of the planet out. And we're basically going to see in our lifetime, the whole ecosystem just go, unless they stop radically and quickly, which I don't think they're going to. So we're actually going to see the intense effects of Kali Yuga, I would say, in the next 30 years. So enjoy yourself. And we're already seeing now, like, you know, every year I go to the Holy Dham. I didn't miss for 23 years going to the Holy Dham every year, right? I can't go this year, I know. I couldn't go last year, I might not be able to go next year. This is heavy stuff. You know, we can't even just go to our place of pilgrimage and serve Krishna. It's heavy. It's testing all of us. So it's testing me a lot. You know, not to be able to just go and have that 1 month of just like full absorption. You know, it means you have to go so much deeper in your Krishna consciousness. And things aren't going to change. Like the problems we're seeing right now, they're going to increase in the next couple of decades, like quite seriously. So all of us have to come in very like deep and TK. Okay, enjoy yourselves. Yeah. We ignored the sign on the way in. That was the problem. So Prabhuji, please take your microphone. If you can't take a danda, take a microphone.
Give it a nice clasp.
Hi there.
My comment and a question. Even though devotees follow, rules and regulations and follow dharma, but as long as they live in this material world, not even material world, but which is given to us by materialistic people, we will still suffer, right? Like Prabhupada said, farm communities. There's a reason why he said farm communities. I mean, this is the setup given to us by demoniac people, and we follow their rules and regulations. And we try to make it on their rules, and then we cop the heat. So even though I'm practicing my spiritual life, I still have to go and work. And then I come back and I have to unwind and purify and then go to sleep. And so essentially, I'm trying to apply devotional life into in the materialistic life. That's fundamentally wrong, I guess.
Yeah, Prabhupada said, in terms of that, in terms of, because most devotees are grihastas, right? Few are brahmacharis, right? So, you know, but most are not. If you look at the community in Melbourne, like what's the percentage of brahmachari? 1% maybe. Yeah, I don't know what it is, 1%. You know, it'd be great if it was 10% or 20%, but it's not. It's 1% or 2% or whatever it is. So, griha means most of us are going to be grihastas. And then grihasta means mula, right? No money, no grihasta, right? And otherwise, what are you going to do with the kids? Oh, we need something to eat. Oh, so, you know, grihasta. So then Prabhupada said the grihastas have to form businesses together because then you don't have to work with the non-devotees. Like in England, the devotees have a cheesecake business. So they make cheesecakes and they just sell cheesecakes. It employs about 6 families. Great idea. Restaurants, prasadam distribution, all the rest. Okay, devotees say, well, it's hard work. Yeah, of course it's hard work because the material world's hard work. But that was Prabhupada's idea. The devotees form, and then you don't have to deal with them because, you know, as soon as you get out, it's hard enough just being here, surrounded by it, but when you're dealing with it, and your job in particular, you know, what's the point? And this is not easy because, you know, good salary, good payoff at the end, la-di-da, you know all the... So, you know, you kind of like... It's a catch-22 situation, right? It's not a favourable situation for Krishna consciousness, and yet, you know, the system's like that. So it's difficult. So, you know, devotees, we have to develop devotee businesses. We have so much work to do. I mean, we've done so much, but there's so much more to do. We should be able to employ every grihasta. We should be able to. But that's just a challenge for us. We have to develop more and more ideas and things. There's no answers, but it's just, yeah. Yeah, because if you're living in this society, we're products of the society. Why aren't the farms working? You know, Hare Krishna Valley, it's a beautiful property. It's a good preaching facility. There's a little bit of food production. Cows have been protected very nicely. There's many, many positive things. It's nowhere near self-sufficient. Nowhere near self-sufficient. Like devotees say to me sometimes, oh, if there's problems in the world, we'll all come to the farm. What are you going to eat at the farm? We've got a paddock full of pumpkins. What are we going to do? 1,000 devotees turn up. We get 1 pumpkin each. And then what? You know, seriously, you know. So the problem is that because we're all conditioned, even if you go to Wada, you know, devotees have that eco-village, right? It's a beautiful eco-village, very progressed, very advanced. But if you go into the fields, right, it's not devotees working in the fields or milking the cows, it's the local people. Because we've all been brought up in the cities, and then we suddenly, now go and run a farm. Even me, like I get there, I'm like, you know, Mani Griva Prabhu knows something. Because, you know, he grew up on a farm there. I don't know what to do. You know, I have to learn it and then do it. And then so, you know, I just use my skills, which is to bring people there and to teach them about Krishna. And if you look at like the eco-village, the Govardhan, the Wada farm, the brahmacharis are doing that. They're preaching and studying and all that. They're not out there doing the actual... So it's, yeah, Kali Yuga is a difficult situation because we've all grown up in a particular way, you know, downtown Mumbai, and now you have to live self-sufficiently. It's like, so Kali Yuga it's a difficult thing to... That's why, you see, Prabhupada had the ideas of the farms. Now we have 65 of them or so around the planet. But how many are really, you know, going towards what we call something like self-sufficiency? So you've probably got the eco-village, you've got the one in Hungary, and there's several others. Not massively progressed. And then, you know, Brazil has one, which, you know, may be close, and then I think Ukraine may have one. So, but out of the 65, there's probably 10 which are going close. The rest of them, it's a lot of work. Interesting. And interesting because Prabhupada said the final... I was listening the other day, he said in 77, he said, and we all know, he said, my final contribution is Varnashram. And then actually, because one devotee said to Prabhupada, what does that mean? What will you... He said, I will go to Gita Nagari, I will sit down, and I will teach you how to live simply. So Prabhupada was just going to sit there and say, okay, go out and do this, go out and do that, go out and do that. Teach you how to live simply. Grow your own food. That's basically Varnashram. So, yeah, Kali Yuga is a big challenge. And I've actually been speaking to a few devotees, Sri Chaitanya Prabhu and a few devotees, that we've got this idea, and I think this is what we should do. We should buy another large plot of land, and grihastas buy it together, and build places and build like a little community, and work with that farm, the farm that we've already got, to produce some self-sufficiency. I think we really should do that very seriously, because things are going to crumble in this society, and maybe even very soon, maybe in the next 30 years, and we're not ready. Yeah, we're not ready, so we'll see. What's the name? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we wish everyone full success. So. Any other question? Yep. You're welcome.
Is that when we hear that the material world is very bad, like this and that, we lose our enthusiasm in doing stuff like studies and classes. So how do we make sure that we don't lose the enthusiasm?
Good question. For you are more fortunate than the other kids at your school because you're a devotee. So you have, because the only way that we can solve the problems in the world is by making everyone devotees, right? So if everyone becomes devotees, like all the kids in your school were devotees, and then everyone just eats prasadam all the time, and at lunchtime everyone does Harinam, the world would be very nice. So we just have to, because you're already in a good situation, you have to learn about Krishna and help other people become devotees, and that will solve the problems. Does that help, that answer? Yeah. Yeah, because what else could we say? Do your studies nicely. Concentrate on both things, because you need material knowledge and spiritual knowledge. So concentrate on both. Don't put all your effort just into school. Maybe your parents will be angry I'm saying this, I don't know, but don't put all your, because I think some of the parents, they get too locked up, the kid, they push them too hard in school. I don't think that's necessary, to be honest. I went to school, I learned my things. What's the problem? You're going to get a job anyway. I mean, sometimes the parents push them, go to Kumon, and then go to Kumon again, and then 3 Kumon. They just, I learned everything. You don't need to go to Kumon. It's just to learn, and what are you going to do anyway? You're not like you're going to become something. Study nicely, learn things, but make sure you put enough time into devotional activities also. Do both. Is it okay? Okay. I didn't ruin your life? Yeah. You haven't lost all your enthusiasm? That's good. That's good. Because it's difficult. I went to a school a couple of years ago in Geelong, and this shows what Kali Yuga is like. I think they're year 8 or year 9 or year 10, I can't remember, but the kids, they're like 14 to 16, that kind of. And I said, hands up if you have a positive vision of the future in this world. No one put their hand up. That's not good. I mean, do you have a positive future in this world? What do you think of? I know as a devotee, but I'm talking about the world. Yeah, see? It's like, how crazy is society that the kids don't even have a positive future? That shows how crazy it is. The kids should feel like, yeah, this is good and things are going to, people aren't even thinking like that anymore. So, yeah, sorry to wreck your enthusiasm about the material world. But there's only one good thing. This is what Bhagavatam says. Kalaya dosha nidhe rajan astiheko mahan guna kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. You know that verse? Yeah, so eka. There's one good thing, one mahaguna, one good quality. Kirtanadeva krishnasya, chanting about Krishna. There's nothing else. Bhagavatam already says it. Okay? So if you have problems, just chant Hare Krishna. Even Prabhupada, you know Srila Prabhupada? Yeah. Prabhupada was in Amsterdam and he was doing a live television appearance, live, being cast. They were doing a jagya and the devotees had no idea what they were doing, right? So they're making, and Prabhupada was on the Vyasa, this live television, people watching. Prabhupada's like, becoming angry. Hey, don't do like that, do like this. Oh, like that. And then you could see Prabhupada's on television, live, and he's becoming quite angry and quite disturbed. You know, and then at some point, Prabhupada just kind of goes back like this, like, he's just like, these guys, you know, can't work out what to do and everything. And there's one bhakta standing next to Prabhupada, and he leans over to Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, just chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada looked at him, Prabhupada went, and then Prabhupada turned and he put his hand in his bead bag and he went, Hare Krishna, Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki. So even Prabhupada, material was a big problem. So at the end of the day, Hare Krishna, Krishna. What are the other answers? Yeah, at the end of the day, what's the answer? You know, like my brother said he was in a plane going to Europe, 36,000 feet, you know, going across, and then hit turbulence. But, you know, big turbulence. I don't know if you've ever been big. I've never been big. Like, I've been some, but not crazy. But people have told me when you're in there and it's like really crazy, like it's scary. So I said, you know, he's devotee, but he's not like, as I said to him, what did you do? He said, what else do you do? He said, you chant Hare Krishna. He was like, Hare Krishna, Hare. Or Radhanath Swami said he was flying in India. The plane was coming in, and then they put on the pilot says, Hare Krishna, everyone. He didn't say that, but he said, everyone. He said, prepare for a crash landing. So imagine that. Imagine being in a plane, and the pilot says, okay, the wheels are not opening, prepare. Imagine. So Radhanath Swami said they were the best rounds of his life. You know, Hare Krishna, 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 because the rest of the plane was going, you know, people, they lose their minds. And then Maharaj said he looked down, looked at the runway, and there was like fire trucks all on the runway and ambulances all like, he was thinking, Hare Krishna, so that's the material world. At the end of the day, what's going to save you? Only the holy name. So, is it okay? Chant the holy name and be happy. Hare Krishna. Any other questions, comments in the universe? Okay. We'll see you all next time. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Keshava Prabhu ki.